Blood, blades, and pixelated chaos, that's the really good stuff, right? Ultra-violent Metroidvania games aren't just about exploring dark maps. They're about surviving worlds that want you crushed, sliced, and broken. Remember when games didn't hold your hand? When every boss fight felt like a street brawl rather than a tutorial? These brutal side-scrollers bring back that era. Equal parts punishment and glory. From Gothic hellscapes dripping with atmosphere to cyber nightmares that test your twitch reflexes, this is where skill, grit, and old-school pain meet pure, nostalgic satisfaction. In this video, we are going to talk about 15 ultra-violent and brutal Metroidvania games that you must play in 2025. Let's get started.
The Arch-Confraternity awaits you. Those penitents that the miracle itself took as its sentinels.
Blasphemous 2. So this game is pure pixel agony, and guys, it is glorious. The first time you step into those twisted cathedrals, all covered in wax and weirdness, you get smacked by a vibe equal parts horror art and Spanish folklore fever dream. It isn't shy about showing its teeth. You'll explode enemies with brutal finishes, splattering the walls with the kind of animated gore you don't often see outside your old 90s VHS tapes. 3 wildly different weapons change up the combat, letting you switch playstyles on the fly, and each strike lands with heavy, crunchy impact. The platforming's tighter than the first game, the boss battles are bigger, and the twisted story is just confusing enough to make you want to dig deeper instead of skipping cutscenes. Sure, some enemies start feeling repetitive after a while, but that doesn't matter once the Gothic atmosphere and screeching choir soundtrack hook you. It's a terrifying, artful love letter to classic pain and perseverance.
The dead are constantly reminded of their time away from this life, hiding in the shadows of the moon.
The Last Faith. Jumping into The Last Faith feels like stumbling into a fevered Gothic nightmare. The first 10 minutes set the mood for hours. Sinister sprites, filthy alleys, and eyes everywhere. You play Eric, dropped right into a world of punishment, where everything rusts, rots, and wants you dead. It's got that Metroidvania loop down, unlocking new powers, exploring winding maps, and taking on bosses that check your reflexes and punish recklessness. Combat is a blast, weapons feel meaty, and the combos punch harder than a shot of espresso at midnight. The enemies can look weirdly cool, and just when you get cocky, the game tosses a monstrous boss your way that wipes the floor with you. Not gonna lie, sometimes the controls and pacing wobble. But when you're deep in the grind, hunting for secrets and tweaking your gear, it's easy to forget the bumps and just enjoy the punishment. If you're looking for dark, stylish pain, this one delivers.
We set out on the ocean to secure that peace. Failing this mission would surely plunge us into darker days.
Salt and Sanctuary. Guys, if you're craving a 2D Dark Souls brain melter with that classic map so twisted you'll get lost for hours feel, this is the game. The art style is grungy and gloomy, like a scribbled comic book piled under 3 inches of dust. But the real kicker is the brutality. Every leap, every poorly timed roll is a risk. And bosses swing for the fences, forcing you to dance between attacks if you want to survive more than 5 seconds. It's less press X to win, and more try not to cry when you lose your salt for the 10th time. The interconnected world is stuffed with secrets, shortcuts, and unlockable powers, always tempting you to crawl back through haunted catacombs or haunted ruins. Winning feels earned. When you finally smash a monstrosity and reclaim a pile of salt, You get that sweet mix of relief and old-school pride salt. And Sanctuary is pure punishment, but it's the kind you grin through every time.
People fear what they don't understand. And in death, you will learn.
Death's Gambit Afterlife. Ever booted up Death's Gambit Afterlife and instantly felt like the game was looking back at you, daring you to fail? That's the vibe here. You're playing as Soren, stuck in a land where death never sticks and every boss practically writes their own hate mail to you. The definitive version overhauls everything. The map is massively bigger, there's double jump and dash, and finally, a real interconnected world begging for exploration. You get tactical combat loaded with different weapon choices, quick combos, and each area tossing new monsters at you, just waiting to flatten your hopes. There's depth too, with skills, talents, and a stamina system that lets you pull off crazy builds or just trade blows toe to toe. Some pacing choices are odd, fast travel comes way too late, but smashing bosses and upgrading gear feels top-tier satisfying. If you ever wanted Souls-style pain with genuine story moments mixed in, Afterlife serves it up, plain and punishing.
My child, you are born of clay, bone, and ichor. To carry a burden.
Moonscars. Moonscars nails the kind of dark, moody feel that makes you want to play with the lights off and a hoodie on. You take on Grey Irma's journey through clay, blood, and a world dripping with melancholy. And yeah, nothing comes easy. Not even the story combat is slice and dice, frantic, and the options spice things up with sword attacks, spells, and the unique spite mechanic that boosts your power if you're brave enough to take the risk. Exploration is all non-linear, so if you like poking around shadowy corners and uncovering secrets, this game rewards curiosity. You'll slam through weird enemies, dodge traps, and experiment with spell trees that get wild. Poison, exploding corpses, decoys, pick your chaos. Bosses range from challenging to who programmed this angry Octobaby, but beating them fires up pure adrenaline. It's not perfect. Some difficulty spikes feel unfair, but Moonscars is all about style, gloom, and brutal fun, with enough variety to make every run feel fresh.
My name is Cherry. I'm different than that mass-produced junk.
Cookie Cutter. Let's get to Cookie Cutter and its wild, punk-powered attitude. This game isn't just a Metroidvania. It's a chainsaw riot in Technicolor neon, starring Cherry, an android, who bangs through a dystopian world, collecting massive weapons and carving everything in sight. The levels are huge, packed with secrets, rooms and shortcuts, all draped in jaw-dropping animation. The art pops and the enemies splatter real nice, especially when you unleash those bloody, cartoonish finishers, gameplay's full throttle. You get a cool spread of weapons and upgrades, plus energy cell components that seriously shake up your attacks. While it ticks every classic Metroidvania box, tough platforming, hidden collectibles, big bosses, it's loud, fast, and gleefully over the top. Sometimes the pacing stumbles and the horde rooms get brutal, but customizing Cherry's build and ploughing through the bonkers environments is pure addictive fun. Cookie Cutter is for players who want bombastic, bloody chaos with their retro exploration, and it does not disappoint. Ender Lilies Quietus of the Knights. Have you ever played something so beautiful and moody that even the enemies look like sad poetry? That's Ender Lilies in a nutshell. The second you step into Land's End, you realize this isn't just another dark Metroidvania. There's something hauntingly soft about it, even when things get really bleak. You're guiding Lily, a tiny priestess who basically lets the army of spirits she collects throw down for her. Every new spirit feels like getting a fresh move in your arsenal. And mixing them up, chaining summons, and swapping to match your play style is just satisfying. It's full of atmospheric platforming, relentless boss fights, lots of backtracking for secrets, and the soul-crushing weight of a cursed world dripping with gorgeous doom. It's not impossibly punishing, but every fight makes you think, not just mash, especially when you're low on resources, and one slip means death. If you like your sorrow slathered in pixel art and hard-fought victories, this is your vibe. Elderand. Alright, if you're into games that give you a throwback with big Castlevania energy, Elderand is basically someone's love letter to GBA nights and monster-slaying marathons. The visuals pop, gorgeous pixel art, weird cult monsters, fat splashes of pixelated blood every time you swing an axe or snipe something from across the room. The RPG elements run deep for a Metroidvania, letting you shape your warrior or mage however you want, so every run can feel different. Bosses can be tough, but it's the grindy, strategic fights that stick with you. Yeah, there's some cheap ones too, but hey, that's life. Platforming is tight, backtracking feels worth it, and the weapons are chunky, each feeling distinct, especially when you finally land a beefy crit. If you get kicked off a ledge because enemy knockback is real, or get stuck on a late boss, it's never ragey. Just tighten your timing and come back swinging. Elderand is pure tested genre comfort, no frills, just blood, blades, and killer style. The Tarnishing of Juxtia. Guys, firing up. The Tarnishing of Juxtia is like binge-watching every pixel nightmare game, but with a crunchy difficulty curve that really tests your reflexes. The visual style goes for haunting beauty, dark, moody backgrounds, and detailed sprite animations that feel heavy and deliberate. Combat is king here. You get a huge variety of weapons right away, and swapping between them genuinely lets you experiment with how you tackle the next big nasty boss. It leans hard into the Souls-like vibe, so you spend most of your time dancing around enemy swings and memorizing attack patterns. Exploration isn't super deep, but there are pockets of secrets for those who love poking in corners. Boss fights can be real coin flips. Some feel like puzzles, some lean chaotic with overlapping attacks and wild hitboxes. Sure, world design reuses familiar tropes and the pacing can drag, but there's real satisfaction in finally putting a stubborn foe in the ground. If you want dark fantasy, tough battles, and the occasional cheap death, Juxtia definitely delivers. Demoniaca, Everlasting Night. Okay, Demoniaca is not here to mess around. This game opens with your heroine literally stitched back together from demon bits after her whole village is slaughtered. The backdrop is full-on Gothic hell, pixel art dripping with blood, demonic enemies, and a fighting game-inspired combat system that has more combos than most Metroidvanias. Dream of controls take a little warming up, platforming and wall jumping especially, but once you find your groove, Sliding into brutal melee chains and special moves becomes super satisfying. You climb the Tower of Babel, wading through a ton of mean monsters. Some hit you with poison, some mess with your visuals, and some love stun-locking you until you want to toss your controller. It gets punishing, and sometimes outright unfair, but experimenting with builds and uncovering secrets keeps you coming back. The vibe is mature, edgy, and unapologetically retro. If you want violent spectacle and stylish beatdowns, Demoniaca won't let you down.
But most of us have lost hope.
Vigil, the Longest Night. Don't let the delicate cover art fool you. Vigil is a brutal trip through darkness and agony that's not for the faint-hearted. From the opening cutscene, you're dumped in a world crawling with nightmarish creatures and backed by one seriously disturbing plot. Combat isn't just button mashing. You'll need to dodge, block, and master timing, because one mistake means the enemy is carving you up with cruel precision. The skill tree is pretty deep, letting you shape your character and weapons in all kinds of wild directions. Enemies are varied, especially once you unlock new spells, which spice up battles and make grinding that much more fun. Platforming and exploration feel rewarding, and every backtracking run reveals sinister new secrets hidden in maze-like maps. Sure, it launched a bit buggy and sometimes slows down, but the Gothic vibes, sharp difficulty, and sheer weirdness make Vigil stand out as a cult favourite in the massacre Metroidvania crowd. GRIME. Moving into GRIME is like being dropped into an alien nightmare, where every wall oozes mystery and every monster wants you erased. Your head is literally a black hole, and that crazy power lets you absorb enemies, counterattacks, and turn their abilities into your own arsenal. The exploration has that classic Metroidvania loop, but the real joy is in its bone-crunching combat. Everything's built around perfectly timed parries and risky dodges, with bosses punishing impatience in wild ways. The style is both beautiful and ugly, surreal and hostile. A weird blend that never gets old, even when platforming gets touchy. Sure, complicated maps and trippy environments can make you lost for ages, but it always feels like there's something worth fighting for. There are moments when hitboxes mess with you, and checkpoints feel rare, but beating those massive monstrosities with a headbutt is a high. That's hard to beat. GRIME nails that dread-soaked, skill-driven reward, making every failure sting and every victory sweeter.
Factions were formed, light and darkness. Chaos cursed the leaders with immortality, obliging them to fight for eternity. The Queen of Light and the King of Darkness.
Aeterna Noctis. If brutal platforming is your thing, Aeterna Noctis is like the spicy food of Metroidvanias. You're going to get burned, but it's impossible to stop. Playing as the King of Darkness, you platform and fight through one of the hugest indie maps out there, facing boss battles that'll make your hands sweat and traps that punish even tiny mistakes. Platforming is pixel perfect, often making you stop and plan those jumps with precision. To avoid starting a section over again after a missed grab or stray arrow, the story's doled out in cryptic snippets, mainly via background art rather than dialogue, giving everything a mysterious, epic vibe. Gaining new abilities upgrades your routes and opens up secrets, so every area rewards exploration if you're brave. Not gonna lie, progression can get confusing and you'll lose count of your deaths pretty fast, but the soundtrack and art are gorgeous. Boss fights are tough but fair, and the grind feels old school challenging. It's a beast, but worth the journey for true masochists. Dark Devotion. In Dark Devotion, you're instantly sent into a cursed, labyrinthine temple. You can feel the doom in the air from the first step. This one's heavy on the punishment and perfectly blends Metroidvania exploration with ruthless Souls-like pain. Death means losing gear, enemies respawn, and you respawn at a bleak sanctuary, which pushes you to be careful and to really learn enemy moves. The pixel art is pure mood. Oppressive shadows, creepy bosses, and eerie lighting, making even simple fights feel intimidating. Platforming and combat are all about timing. It's not the fastest game, but landing a desperate dodge or pulling off a clutch heal is heart-pounding stuff. Inventory limits and progression quirks keep you constantly adjusting strategies, while lore and mystery ooze from every hallway. When you finally crack an area or topple a particularly evil boss, you get the "I earned that" feeling rare these days. Dark Devotion is punishing, atmospheric, and haunting. A rough ride, but a rewarding one for masochore explorers. SteamDolls Order of Chaos. This game drops you into a grim, filthy steampunk underworld, unlike anything else on this list. First off, it looks stunning. Those hand-drawn backgrounds and splashy lighting make every alley and blood-soaked machine feel alive. But this isn't a basic slash fest. You're the Whisper, voiced by Solid Snake's David Hayter, no less. And stealth actually matters here. Slipping through vents, choking guards, hacking consoles, it's almost more about hiding than fighting, at least early on. Once you unlock more gear, you can get flashy and brutal. But until then, you need patience and quick reactions. The world building goes deep, with lore nuggets and voice acting that'll pull you into the city's chaos and rebellion. There's still some early access roughness. Enemy placements can be janky. Platforming sometimes betrays you, and combat's not always balanced, but the potential is insane if devs keep polishing. If you want Metroidvania action with a punk twist and some honest, rough but promising vibes, keep an eye on SteamDolls. After diving into these ultra-violent and brutal Metroidvania games, it's clear they aren't just about punishing difficulty. They're about that glorious feeling of mastering something dark, challenging, and rewarding. Each game here offers its own unique world, dripping with atmosphere, tough enemies, and battles that push your skills to the limit. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome games.